Walker to pull the trigger. 3.6 seconds left. Law way outside for the three.
It's good.
He got it.
It's good.
Acie Law IV, born January 25, 1985. How do you tell the story of a guy that has triumphed so much in the sport of basketball, created a life for his family, remained around the game he loved to this day, while also becoming a what happened to him tale of misexpectations and myth? Well, you just tell it like it appears to be. And from my eyes, it appears that Acie Law is a great example of how to use basketball and not let it use you. At 34, a young man in the grand scheme of life, he's right on schedule. The blueprint of what it can be to play 4 years in college, improve every year, and have at least that one opportunity to fulfill the dreams that 90% of amateur players don't get. I have so much respect for the man he seems to have become, and what he did in college was nothing short of praiseworthy. But let's just look at a few things, in my opinion, Acie lacked at some point in his journey. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Acie Law IV grew up in Dallas, Texas. In case you're wondering, he got his name from his great-grandfather, who passed it on to a son in whom Acie watched have a heart attack and pass away in his early years. A tough kid that was instilled with a hard work, confidence, and staying strong through adversity kind of poise. By his junior year in high school, he was all-state and the only junior to make the Dallas Morning News all-area team. Before his senior season, he broke his wrist and had to learn shooting with his left hand. Although it put a funky spin or lack thereof on his shots, it happened timely enough where he could perfect it and it not affecting his future. And what a future it was. Acie went on to become an all-state performer who was recruited by more than a few big-name schools like UConn, Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Texas A&M. Wanting to stay close to home and a chance at an immediate impact, Law chose A&M. A great choice for him in hindsight, and a place that let him develop and be himself. The Aggies weren't a good team in his first season under the coach he chose to play for in Melvin Watkins, but took off in year 2 under new coach Billy Gillespie. Law confessed that he juggled the idea of transferring more than a few times under his no-nonsense dictatorial new coach, but one of the best decisions he finally made was to remain an Aggie and continuing to build on his amazing career. A career that saw him sink the shot of his life, as they call it, against the number 7 ranked PJ Tucker, LaMarcus Aldridge, Daniel Gibson-led Longhorns, gaining its first appearance in the NCAA tournament since 1980. He also won the Bob Cousy Award for Best Point Guard in the country and AP First Team All-American as a senior, while playing in a still classic game against KD in Texas. He was an ESPN All-American, a Big 12 Player of the Year over Durant, and had an amazing showing in college and still is one of my favorite competitors to watch at that level. But then things got complicated. Stunt number 1, falling to the wrong team. Acie Law was caught up in a whirlwind that included too much Mike Bibby, Sacramento's indecisiveness, Joe Johnson's ascendance into prime years, and a team style of play that should have never given Law the idea he could fit into their fast-paced style, being a predominantly half-court point guard in college. The year he was drafted, Sacramento couldn't decide in that summer whether or not to keep Mike Bibby. With the 10th pick and one slot before Acie was taken, the Kings decided to take a big in Spencer Hawes. Had they taken Law, I think his career would have been extremely different than it turned out to be. The Kings needed a point guard, but were still giving their first-round point guard pick the year before, Quincy Douby, a shot at being Bibby's successor. Atlanta wound up taking Law at 11 and welcomed him into a system that included an exciting high-flyer Josh Smith that brought the ball up on the break at times, a ball-dominant stopper in Joe Johnson, and a few young guys the team were contractually obligated to give a real shot. A solid backup in Anthony Johnson, and halfway through his first season, Mike Bibby, who the Hawks acquired from the Kings. Bibby was declining, but still very productive, and he, Joe Johnson, Smith, Horford, and the young Hawks were expected to and saw some success in those years. There just wasn't much space for Law, and he wound up having 2 disappointing seasons in Atlanta, averaging 4 points and 2 points a game. Stunt number 2, the cake was baked. We all know how fast the game of basketball and especially the NBA moves. Once you're seen as a certain kind of player and deemed not to have much potential to develop into the player teams want consistently, you become typecasted in a certain role, and that role determines things like depth in rotation, what plays are called for you, how expendable you are, meaning you could be traded any day. And most importantly, the confidence exuding from you because of your play that convinces everyone around you to play for you and to invest in giving you more opportunities. I was having a conversation on IG the other day, and a guy asked, why'd I say in my first Sebastian Telfair video that he just needed an opportunity? But I said in the second one how he got that opportunity with the Timberwolves and didn't do anything with it. A great question, and this is the perfect example. Telfair was typecasted by that time and was just a run the offense, don't mess up guy by then. Law was traded to the Warriors and in 2009-2010 saw some improvement, but not close to what an 11th overall lottery pick is supposed to produce. In my opinion, him not having a good start in Atlanta didn't give him what he needed to shine from then on, which was a leadership role and a team he can grow with, not prime or past it veterans. He would then become a journeyman, and most players aren't built for it. While many of them find a future in it, they never get back to the spot they were expected to be. Law would go on to Golden State to a roster that included an on-fire rookie in Steph Curry and a guy in Monta Ellis, who it's a travesty he didn't make the All-Star that year. The Warriors were clearly moving in a different direction as far as guard play, and so Acie only lasted 45 games. He would be traded to the Bobcats for 9 games and to the Bulls for 12, Memphis for 11. He continually was traded to teams that had no need for his point guard skill set. Stunt number 3, we all have a level. At the end of the day, every basketball player's skills has a max level it can reach. You putting in all the hours in the world won't change that you're gonna have a max. Some's gonna be higher than others. What you seek doing is working hard enough and early enough to see your max soon enough to have a prosperous career professionally. Acie's skills simply maxed out as a college player, a great one, but one that didn't have the same green light in the league he did, where he could shoot it at any time, call his own plays, or have the ball enough to get comfortable. He wasn't a good shooter at 23% for his career from 3 and 41% from the field. He wasn't creating for his teammates at just 1.6 assists per game and wasn't athletically gifted enough to become the lead guard he was drafted to be. He would move on to the European leagues where he won 2 championships in Greece in 2012 and 13. He suffered a knee injury in 2013 that would be severe enough to end his career. He would move on to take a coaching job at Ranger College with his former coach and later an NBA front office position that allowed him to give insight and knowledge to NBA teams. All in all, he had a great basketball journey and is well respected by his peers and fans across the globe. I loved his heart, extreme competitiveness, and tenacity coming up, and I wish him all the best. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.
Walker to pull the trigger. 3.6 seconds left. Long. Way outside for the 3.
It's good. He got it. It's good.